Spacey, Sims, and we are back with more Hakuoki blossoms in Harada's route. And the last part, damn, we got kissed already. Son of a bitch. What the hell? That's exciting. Um, well, we'll see if, I still think it's going to be like I don't think he loves me. I'm going to kiss. Oh, and it's going to be like torment the whole fucking time until finally, like in chapter like 3 or 4, he's finally going to be like, no, of course I love you. It was real. And like, yeah, it's gonna be this whole misunderstanding thing, kind of like the very beginning of this was, where we're like, he doesn't love us, and he's like, she hates me, and it's gonna be like that kind of torment the whole fucking 4 chapters. Anyway, later that evening, yet again, I found myself incapable of sleeping, and so I wandered quietly into the courtyard. I caught the silhouette of a familiar face in the corner of my eye, and immediately I gulped, Sonnen. As soon as I spotted him, I felt all the blood drain in my body. I need to run away as discreetly as possible. If he realized I was outside alone, then there was no doubt he would pressure me into cooperating with his research for the Fury Core. I spun on my heel, attempting to tiptoe away from him quietly and sneak back to my room when I'm unclear with whatever it is you're referencing. Mind repeating it once more, Harada. Harada? When I heard Harada's name, I froze. I carefully turned my head to peek over my shoulder. Oh my God. His angry face, those angry eyes are gorgeous. Like, what the hell? God damn it. Ugh! But it's Sonnen and Harada in the same way together. Of course, it's the back of Sonnen's head, so it doesn't really matter. But, like, still. Sure, I'll say it as many times as you need me to. Whatever business you think she has with the Fury Core is done, as of today. So stop harassing her. I don't like to butt my head into places where it doesn't belong, especially with the Fury Core, but frankly, your behavior lately has been inexcusable. Harada's brows were intimidatingly furrowed. I had never seen him so serious before. Animosity radiated from his glare fixed on Sonnen's face, and even from a distance it gave me the chills. God, he's pretty. Sonnen, however, was in no way fazed by Harada's veiled threat, and instead he ignored his accusation. I need not remind you of the precarious situation we're currently facing. As we speak, the Imperial Army has amassed manpower and the technology far surpassing our own. At this rate, defeat is all but assured. If we seek to level the playing field, then our only option is to strengthen the Fury Core. That girl possesses demon blood that may prove to be the key to our victory. Sonnen offered a logical rebuttal, but Harada was having none of it. Sonnen, are you listening to yourself? Stop treating her like some soldier who's joined us under the pretense of helping us with this war. She's just a normal girl who's gotten sucked into all this. You can't expect to treat her like an object, draw blood from her whenever you please. Is this what it comes down to for us to stand any chance of winning this thing? As the memory of Inoue and Yamazaki escaped you so easily, why? I knew the game was going to bring them up, but why? Why I gotta do this? Do you mean to suggest that their sacrifice was in vain, and that our other men should share in their fate? Don't you dare bring the dead into this. That's a new low even for you. All I'm asking is for you to look into your heart. Look, I know you'll do whatever it takes to win. You know what the stakes are, and I have no desire to stop you from doing what needs to be done. It's just, doesn't the thought of risking the life of an innocent woman bother you in the slightest? For God's sake, man, the poor girl's been locked up under house arrest for 4 goddamn years. But not once has she ever made a fuss about it. Even till now, she'll break her back doing everything she can for us, and making sure every mouth is fed. Ask yourself, what's the point in putting this girl through all that pain and suffering? Is it your experiments? Harada's pointed interrogation spurred Sonnen into silence, and he lowered his gaze to the floor. She is a demon. Cut her and she bleeds, until her body seals the wound faster than it would for either of us. You've seen it yourself, I believe. Sonnen, you damn well better look me in the eye when you speak to me. She might be a demon, but that doesn't mean she isn't a fucking human being. Actually, it kind of does, but I love you for that. Is this what we've become? Is this what we've supposedly been working towards all this time? Is this how low the Shinsengumi has fallen? Sonnen didn't answer. He brushed aside Harada's hand on his shoulder, and continued to avert his eyes irritably. And then, Furies serve one purpose: to kill. Their value is measured solely by their potency in the battlefield. If the means with which we can achieve victory are kept from us, then our existence is null and void. How will we feel always being foreign to you? And you have the luxury of living, even if you leave the Shinsengumi. Sonnen bit into his lips bitterly, turning without another word towards the front door. See, that's his problem! He feels less than human, and you guys are being so mean to him. Oh! I mean, what he's trying to do to us is wrong, but I still love him. Poor thing! He's just trying to validate his existence. Oh, you poor bullied kid. Just want to run out and Harada, I appreciate you and I love you, but Sana needs hugs. It's such a problem. He depressively sauntered away from Harada toward the Fury Corps residence. After letting out a heavy sigh, Harada slumped his shoulders, wallowing in frustration. I could only imagine how exhausted he must have been. It's not that your way of life is foreign to me. He scratched his scalp gently, muttering to himself amidst the ring of wind chimes in the background. He rotated his head before starting to walk in the direction where I'd been hiding in plain sight. What should I do? If I didn't find a place to hide, he would realize that I'd eavesdropped upon his entire conversation. I panicked, quickly scanning the area for a place to hide when... Spacey, this way! Heisuke yelled out to me in a whisper, beckoning me with his hand through the darkness. I sprinted towards him, ducking down to hide beside him in the shadows. Luckily, I got there just in time, and Harada hadn't noticed us as he walked back into the compounds. It would have been funnier if he noticed you just do. So he just looks over, and there's you and Heisuke hiding in a bush together. Hey, I don't want to know. He keeps walking away. That would have broken his heart. He would have been like, you're making out with Heisuke in the bushes. He's gone. Yeah, thanks, Heisuke. So, how are you feeling? I'm doing fine. See? Why? Did Sonnen say something to you? Well... After contemplating to myself, I decided to tell him the foreboding news that Sonnen had shared with me. Sonnen said that? I mean, sure, from time to time the side effects become a little much to deal with on my body, but hey, it's never so bad that I need you to become a test subject for his experiments. Oh. As I'd expected, Sonnen had indeed only been using Heisuke as an excuse to justify performing experiments on me. He just wants a little blood. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, I totally knew he was lying about Heisuke, but still. Sorry, Spacey. Huh? For not noticing that Sonnen's been weird lately. Everything that Sano told Sonnen, that stuff I'd been meaning to tell Sonnen myself. Either way, I was the one who agreed to drink the water of life, which means that whatever responsibility comes with it, I accept. So there's no reason for you to put yourself through all that crap for the sake of his research. Heisuke... Few others were able to warm my heart as easily as Heisuke could with his genial disposition. He's our best friend. Both Harada and Heisuke had this in spades, always seeming to pay close attention to my feelings. But man, Asano always steals the show, huh? I just can't compete with that. Heisuke let out a small sigh out of resignation. Looks like the coast is clear, so why don't you head back to your room and get some shut-eye? Yes, thank you, Heisuke. Good night. I bowed at Heisuke and snuck quietly back into the compounds towards my bedroom. While navigating the dim hallways back to my room, the echo of Harada's words bounced around my head. According to Harada, I was breaking my back doing everything I could for the Shinsengumi. That even if I were a demon, I was still a human being. He even pleaded with Sana not to let me endure pain and suffering on behalf of his research. He said all of this and more. Harada was always so considerate, so it wasn't beyond the realm of reason to think he wouldn't have said the same thing about anyone else. He likely recognized that Sanen's behavior had caused me great stress, and so he took it upon himself to see that my grievances were addressed appropriately. Like before, I was cautious to get my hopes up. No matter how cheerful his words made me feel, as a demon, it only hurt me to pine for something more. All because someday, Harada eventually would find love with the woman of his own kind. Oh, girl, stop! They could forge a life together with the rest of human society, unburdened by what I had to offer. But sometimes, it was nice to indulge in a daydream. Yeah, As long as I made sure to keep my feelings hidden, then maybe harboring a little crush would be harmless. Playfully tending to the thoughts budding in my heart, I tucked myself into my futon to rest. That's adorable. She's like, I'm just going to daydream about how much I love him. Oh. February 1868. Hijikata returned the next day, informing us that he made arrangements for us to move our headquarters in a mansion owned by one of the Hatamoto. Thus, we were ordered to relocate from Kama Inn to this new location. According to Hijikata, all of you Koreans have been letting your standards slip ever since we've been living at Kama Inn. Nagakura, as well as the men who frequently joined him for drinks in Ito, suddenly whipped into shape. Sanan, too, had a noticeable change in his behavior the minute Hijikata set foot back in the compounds. Yeah. And for me, the most positive bit of news was... Greetings, everyone! I apologize for worrying you, but I'm happy for the full recovery of my shoulder. Kondo, who served as the Shinsengumi's central pillar, had returned to the fold. In regards to our war with the Satsuma Choshu, Shogunate has ordered us to march to Kofu Castle under the new name, the Koyo Regulatory Company. While our public objective is to intercept the flow of Satsuma Choshu troops funneling into Ito, as well as keep the perimeter around Kofu Castle safe, our true objective is to lay siege at Kofu Castle. If our mission proves successful, then the Shogunate has promised that we can keep Kofu Castle. Keep on your toes, everyone. Prepare for battle. He seems happy about it. He's like, prepare for battle, bitches. And you're like, look at you, you're so happy. Kofu Castle. Oh, we gonna get makeover soon. The possibility of living in such lavish accommodations was unimaginable thought to me, as someone who lived her entire life as a commoner. Kondo, on the other hand, was beaming, his eyes glowing with childlike wonder. Oh, and if you hadn't dilly-dallied and, whatever, we could have had that castle, Kondo. Pats him on shoulder. It's okay, you failed us. But then you end up dying, and that's really sad, so. Yes, as if the Shogunate hadn't honored me enough. They've bestowed upon me a new name. Where have I heard that before? I mean, I know he's mentioned it before, but I feel like... Wasn't it one of the other parts? I know he mentioned it in Saito's route, the new name and everything, and I was like, what? And then it never got brought up again. But I feel like... Was this in Color X Malice? Because, like, in Color X Malice, there's parts where they keep talking about the Shinsengumi and, like, whatever. But I feel like this came up in something out, like... Or did it come up in Iba's route? You know what I mean? But it's weird because they didn't, like, pop up and say that was the new name, that was Kondo's new name. Like, you know what I mean? It didn't give you, like, a thing. Where was it? Why? Oh, my God. My brain. Somebody will tell me. One of you guys will tell me and be like, it was... I feel like it was probably in Iba's route. But... Like, anyway. It's Tsuyoshi Okubo. What do y'all think? Rather dashing, isn't it? Oh my God, you're so funny. It's just also weird, though, to me, that, like, when they're like, oh, we're gonna do that, and you're gonna be at this level, and now you have a new name. Why can't I keep the name I was born with? But, and then again, sometimes they're not even. Like, even Iba, he was adopted, right? But, and I can understand that. If you're a kid and you're adopted into a family... you wouldn't keep your original name. Like, sometimes you don't even have a name, like, especially for a baby. But, like, and I know people change pets' names, but it's really weird. Like, oh, I adopted this 10-year-old kid. I'm going to totally change his name now. Like, what? Your name is, like, your identity. Like, what the hell? Like, and I understand changing it. Some people are like, it either just doesn't fit your gender identity or, like, it just doesn't fit you. And you're like, you know what? I can't go by the name Sam anymore. I need to go by Tom. Like, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, and I understand that, like, that's a choice. But it's just weird when someone's like, we've given you a higher rank and now here's your new name. And they've given you a name. You didn't choose it. They gave it to you. You're not my parents. You didn't birth me or adopt me. You don't get to give me a name. But even Kondo, like, he was adopted by that family and that's why he's Kondo. And it's like, but that wasn't... How many names do you people have? Jesus. It's confusing. Would it get you confused? Well, okay, so when I was bored, I was this name, and then I was this, and then this, and you have like 14 fucking identities. It's like an identity crisis right there. It's weird. Anyway. But then again, it'll take some time before I get accustomed to being called Lord Okubo. But we brought it up. God, when? Anyway. Tell you what, since all of us are familiar with each other as it is, I have no problem with you continuing to refer to me by my original name. But that wasn't your original name. Weren't you adopted by the Kondo family? Or was that actually your real name? I can't remember. There's so many backstories that I don't remember them all. But, like, Iba was adopted by the Iba family. So, like, that's why he's Iba. But Kondo could hardly contain his excitement. What had complicated things, however, was both Harada and Nagakura were scowling in the corner, partaking in none of Kondo's rabid enthusiasm. From henceforth, I'm no longer merely a samurai from the country. I'm now a legitimate daimyo. For anyone willing to stick his neck above and beyond the call of duty, I promise to promote you to the rank of my retainer. Give it your all, you hear me? For Kondo, his triumphant return coincided with the proudest moment in his entire life, and that is kind of nice for him. You're like, oh, you did it, Kondo, and now you're going to die. That sucks. However, hearing him make mention of the word retainer didn't sit well with me for some reason. All right, men. Everyone to your stations. Dismissed. Yeah, I don't know too much about, like, the society back in the... Even though we've played this game and they've given us background, it's like, I can't, my brain. But Kondo walked out of the hall with the spring in his step, practically whistling as he exited. Hijikata, however, wore a pensive expression, slowly following 2 paces behind Kondo. Damn it! Who'd have thought that guy... Oh. Wait, damn it! Who'd that guy think he was back there? What, now he's supposed to be a daimyo or something? Nagakura's fuming, his legs throbbing after having kicked a nearby wooden desk in an act of indignation. Where the hell does he get off saying, promote you? Does he think he owns all of us or something now? That old man's got his name in a rinky-dink dojo. All that old man's got to his name is a rinky-dink dojo. Okay, I totally read that wrong. The identity of the Shinsengumi is shifting. However, from that of a band of Ronin to something more formal. The chief has officially been promoted to the rank of executive lieutenant minister as well. It seems as though the line between us and men of his ilk is becoming drawn in the sand, as it were. I couldn't give less of a shit about status or men of his ilk. Kondo's always going to be Kondo. We didn't call that guy our leader because we wanted him to pay us back in return. But now, he's going to spit in our faces like that? Both Nagakura and Harada belonged to a group of Shinsengumi members that had fiercely supported Kondo during their more juvenile days in Edo. As the group gained in popularity and in numbers, so too did their affinity for closeness and brotherly love grow as well. Watching all they worked toward disintegrate in front of them, with no immediate recourse, surely disturbed both Harada and Nagakura greatly. Another Edo sunset pooled into the horizon. After completing my chores for the afternoon, I returned to the common room for some rest. Oh, Harada, is it only you here? Where's Nagakura? Last I saw of him, he was still ranting about earlier. I bet you anything he's getting deadbeat drunk in some bar right now, still mouthing off. I see. So, what do you make of all of this, Harada? What Kondo said in the meeting, I mean. Harada laughed dryly, shifting his weight to the left as he slumped his shoulders. To tell you the truth, what he said back there really bummed me out. There's no place for a daimyo anymore in this day and age. It's also pointless, really. The shogun deferred power back to the imperial court ages ago. What we used to refer to as the Tokugawa shogunate is really nothing more than a scattering of domains. Harada was making a lot of sense. Kondo's giddiness over his newly promoted title was understandable, and it endeared me to watch someone celebrate the culmination of their life's work. To some of us in the Shinsengumi, status is more of a curse than a gift, honestly. Are you talking about Nagakura? You guessed him. I know it's a little hard to believe, but Shinpachi's got himself a pretty prestigious family. I gotta give it to him. He put swordsmanship above his name, and gave up everything to become a lordless samurai. He wasn't in it for the fame or the money, or anything stupid like that. Harada's recollection made me think. Kondo had been so focused on becoming a daimyo. It seemed he lost sight of what made him, and the rest of the men who followed him, special. You know, to be quite honest, I'm starting to think the Shinsengumi's losing the plot a little bit, too. At least for me, I've no interest in becoming a lord and waving my fancy quills with a stick on my ass. Talk about a dilemma. Waving my fancy quills with a stick up my ass. I know it's not even the right, like, it's not even anything right, but I'm just picturing with, like, a powdered wig, like, all the, like, the British fucking, like, here's my fancy wig, or French, like, back in the day, like, and, like, you know what I'm talking about, the costumes and the powdered faces and, like, everything. I'm just picturing Harada trying to dress up like that and just look at a fucking mess with his hair, like, poking out underneath the wig because he can't. I know it's the totally wrong, like, place and time, but that's just what popped into my head with my fancy quills. Like, I don't know. It's just amusing because it's awkward and weird and it doesn't fit, and you're like, yeah, I can't see you doing that either, Sweet Cheeks. Back when I was still getting to know the Shinsengumi in Kyoto, there were tense moments where men wouldn't see eye to eye about things. This, however, was something else entirely, and it was unclear to me how much they believed they could weather this unprecedented storm. Can I ask you a question? What is it? It's about what you want out of all of this. The true goal, what you want out of all of this. What do you want out of all of this, Harada? Harada jumped, seemingly caught off guard by the brazenness of my question. Huh, that sure came out of nowhere. I don't think we've ever talked about it. Oh, well, just the same as what everyone else wants. Oh, he's blushing. Why is he blushing? Gaining status on the battlefield? No, well, nothing like that. Oh, then would you like to open a dojo and become an instructor? I've actually got no business sense at all. And I'm not sure how I'd like the responsibility of being a master either. Then what is it? Please tell me he just wants to be loved and have a family. I'd never seen Harada fidget so much in conversation. His dream was proving to be quite the mystery. He entered a period of deep thought, wearing a troubled expression the whole time. You'd better not say a thing to Shinpachi or Heisuke. And knowing the two of them, if they'd heard what my one wish is from all this, they'd never let me hear the end of it. Oh, it's going to be adorable. Of course, fingers crossed. I wouldn't tell a soul. Really? All right, you promised. After reassuring himself once more that I wasn't going to tell anyone, Harada bashfully scratched the back of his head, hesitant to open his mouth. What I want is... Oh! I knew it! It's so cute! I'm gonna die! Oh, Harada, you're so squishy. What I want is to meet a beautiful woman, start a family with her, and find a real quaint place to live a nice, quiet life. And you're like, oh, well, there goes me. I look like a fucking potato. Great. As far as money stuff goes, I'd probably try and make enough so that she wouldn't have to lift a finger. It awed me to hear such a wholesome, family-oriented wish for the future coming out of Harada's mouth. Yeah, probably shouldn't get my hopes up, should I? Huh, well, I've never heard a man express interest in something like that before. It's just a little surprising to hear is all. All he'd wanted out of life was to marry the woman he loved and live a simple, quaint life. Hearing him speak so humbly about his aspirations was something I regarded fondly, especially since it came from Harada, who, to no surprise, always seemed to have another dimension to himself. I mean, I know myself. I've got a hot head, and ever since I was a kid, I'd get into scuffles, which got me into a lot of trouble. I couldn't tell you how many times I'd come close to taking a man's life out there. I just remember being a stupid kid, and one of the older boys took me under his wing like a brother. Oh, God. Oh! It's baby Harada. But it's not really baby Harada. It's just like younger Harada. It's not like baby Okita. Nothing is that baby fucking Okita's goddamn fucking adorable. He was just a tank. Bigger than all the rest of the kids. And had a pretty strong fist to boot. For the longest time, I looked up to him. But the rat race gets tiring after a while. Especially if you're on top. Everyone wants to be the guy who took down the toughest warrior in town. So he gave it all up. He married himself a Gegi, had a family with her. Last I heard, he was living in some countryside with his wife and kids. Gegi, a woman who works with clientele for private entertainment services. She uses cultural dances or plays musical instruments for her customers, also known as a geisha or geiko outside of Kyoto. When they told me, I thought to myself, there's no way I could ever grow up and do something like that. But here I am, years later, thinking about how nice that grass must be out there, and what a family's like. I don't think there's anything strange about that. Hmm? I mean, you're a wonderful man, Harada. I'm sure whomever you choose to be your wife is going to be very lucky to have found you. Spacey, Harada looked at me in astonishment, like he had no idea whether or not I was being serious. But then, are you gonna kiss me? Oh, he's just gonna smile at me. Are you gonna kiss me again? Because she's like, I'm sure whoever you pick will be lucky. And he's like, it's you, stupid. I'm in love with you. Are you saying? Because I don't. This is great. Were you coming on to me? Huh? Right over your head, huh? Never mind. Thanks, kid. Maybe you're right. Maybe something like that really could happen someday. It's really great. Like, anyone would be lucky to have you. Are you coming on to me? What? Never mind. Awkward. Oh, he was hoping you were coming on to him. He wants to come on to you. He softly patted the top of my head with his hand. Oh, my heart fluttered wildly in my chest. Everything I said to him came from the heart. I truly believe that his wife, whomever she was, would have been the luckiest woman in the world. But even if one day Harada were to go through with his dream of settling down and raising a family, I was certain that the woman standing beside him was never going to be me, but another woman, one of his own kind. Because I was a demon. A trait that I worryingly acknowledged would eventually be passed on to my child as well. If that were to happen, then the quaint, ideal life that Harada envisioned could never happen. Hey, what's the matter? Why the long face? Are you feeling anxious again? No, it's nothing. I'm not one of his kind. I'm a demon. And even so, Harada was so patient and tender. It was as if he could read my exact mood intuitively. That's when you should be like, you know what, it's just thinking about that. That's when you should, space, is how you secretly get out to him. Like, if you're like, I love you, but I don't want to tell you, and I don't think I could ever be with you, but I want to be with you, but I don't think you ever want me. That's when you, like, do this. You know, it's just thinking about that. That seems like a great life. I'll probably never have that because I'm a demon. Huh. Just sucks a little. That's all I'm saying. And that's when he's like, but I love you. I have no problem with you being a demon. You just kind of, you got it. You can't just, I'm just not going to say anything about, wow, that's a really great dream. And I wish I could share that dream, but I'm a demon. So, like, what human man's going to want me? My only choice is Kazama. I mean, that's not a bad choice, but in all the other routes, it's a bad choice. You know what I'm saying? So, that alone was enough for me. Anything more would be selfish, and anything on that would be impossible. So, for now, I must keep my distance. Oh, Spacey. Hey, I was wondering, will Sana be joining us to Kofu as well? Oh yeah, we have to deal with that, huh? I'll have a chat with Hijikata later. And don't worry, I'll make sure he never gets you in a room alone. Thank you. Between the internal conflicts bubbling within the Shinsengumi and the fast approaching conflict bubbling in Kofu, there was so much to think about. For now, I could take solace in Harada's secure watch over me, which was enough to ease my restless mind in these troubling times. Afterwards, I arranged the duvet upon my futon. Tomorrow we would embark for Kofu, and I had to be sure I was ready for the long journey. Please, I pleaded, please don't let this trip turn out as bad as Toba Fushimi did. Oh. I uttered this prayer under my breath, clasping my hands tightly together, and shut my eyes. Chapter 2. I'm guessing because we're about to get makeovers. Makeovers! Yes. March 1868. We bid our farewell to the city of Edo, departing en route to Kofu Castle. Now we were operating as the Koyo Regulatory Company, with over 200 and counting within our ranks. Thankfully, Harada had been able to convince Hijikata for me to join their convoy, and so off we went on our campaign to take back the castle. The Fury Corps, however, which included both Sanan and Heisuke, were left behind on standby in Edo. Okita, on the other hand, had expressed interest in joining our campaign, hoping to recover in time to leave with us to Kofu, but his condition was worsening, and upon Hijikata's command, he was ordered to return to convalescence in Edo. Oh, but that's so cute! Okita's like, I want to fucking go! Instead of like, he's like, let me go! Come on, I can do it! Like, poor Okita. Oh. There was one change, however, that proved to be unmissable to everyone in our ranks. Yay! Makeover time! It was... Hey, Soma, how are those tight sleeves fitting you? Are they too constricting? Well, compared to Japanese clothing, yeah. But then again, we don't have to worry about tying our sashes every 10 minutes, which is nice. I wouldn't know. I was unaware of what constituted as fashion trends in the West, which made their new uniforms appear so alien to me. Seeing everyone become so dapper in their brand new wardrobes made me blush excitedly. I know, right? She's like, this is great. I know, right? They look great. Hey, it's not every day that they give us new digs like this. Hey, you should have gotten a new uniform too. Oh no, I couldn't possibly. Although I had been speaking to both Soma and Nomura, my eyes were constantly elsewhere, searching for someone else in particular. I know, right? Where's Harada? Just as the thought crossed my mind, I know she's like, where's Harada? I want to see what he looks like. And then he walks out, you're like, I drool. Drool over all of them. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, this is our CG right here. Oh, what's this? You're still wearing that. How last season of you? There you go, getting my hopes up and seeing you in some Western threads. Oh, was that... what's with the funny face? Did you not recognize me now or something? It's me, Sonosuke Harada. I was right. You are Harada. I apologize. It's just that you look so different in your new uniform that it caught me off guard. Oh, really? Harada scowled a little bit, perhaps taken aback by my comment. Well. Oh, she ruins it. But look at him! Ugh! What do you mean it caught you off guard? He blurted out his question, scanning my facial expression for any hint of a clue. What do you mean? There's a lot going on, isn't there? I mean, it's understandable since it's a little unusual. I'm sure you have your own taste and style. You look fine as fuck. Well, The black fabric clung to Harada's figure, tightly wrapping around the length of his toned, lean physique. I love how we get things like this. His toned, lean physique, his sensuous lips, his luscious eyelashes. I love it when the game does this because it's so funny. Compared to his original Japanese uniform, he was practically a different person. He always wore something tight-fitting, though, and it was just basically like bandages wrapped around him. So he was like, this is like, we can see less of you now. I mean, aside from the pants, they were flowy. But anyway, I'd never seen how long Harada's legs were before. Well, because his pants were really big. That he was so tall was no surprise to me, but seeing how snugly the clothes fit around his arms and waist made me realize just how fit he was. Again, though, he always wore something really super tight, so... I have to say, it suits you quite well. Oh yeah? Thanks. But man, these buttons are so goddamn tight. Must be better for me to pop one or two. Oh yeah. Oh! I love it. He's just slowly unbuttoning his shirt. Please. Please fucking do. This one is so fan servicey right now. Harada reached toward the top button near his neck and slowly undid it. Oh my god. You little whore. I love it. Oh, I love him so much. Suddenly, his coat opened up to reveal the skin stretching from his neck to his sternum. I felt hot all of a sudden, turning to look away out of embarrassment. What's the matter, Spacey? You're blushing. Oh, He's like, I like it. Nothing. You're such a weirdo. I wondered why I'd reacted so awkwardly, especially considering the fact that you've always seen his chest, like it's always been out. Like, you know what I mean? It's barely been covered ever. But... And especially in his, I think it was his route, or one of them, when you go to Shimabara and they're like, look at my scars and we're painting happy faces. You've seen him totally shirtless, but there is something different about, he's totally shirtless and he's just slowly unbuttoning his shirt and you're like, take it all off. Totally different. Totally different. The sight of his bare chest behind his kimono was a familiar one to me. After a moment, Harada walked a few steps away, inspecting his new uniform. Ugh, the Look at his hair. I love it. The shagginess. Oh, I just want to play with it. Come to think of it, I haven't seen Kondo anywhere. It doesn't look like he's caught up with us yet. I guess he's still stuck in Hino. Makes sense that he would, since Kondo's from Hino and all. What's he playing at? Now's not the time to be partying it up at the tavern on his little celebration tour. I get that he wants to throw the weight around a little bit, being a daimyo and all, but he's got a job to do. Hey, hold your tongue. Kondo isn't eating or drinking like some pig in a pen. Some of the younger men around Hino have been interested in joining our ranks. What better way to rouse morale for the new recruits than with a drink, right? Hijikata joined the tip of his thumb and index finger to mimic the act of drinking a shot of sake, motioning upwards playfully, but Nagakura was unimpressed. I sure hope so. Just can't help but feel that the guy's losing his touch a little bit, you know? Just then, Saito, who'd been scouting ahead of us in the convoy, approached Hijikata. Wait. Yeah. He is so, like... He and Hijikata are like the overdressed ones. Like, they're like, I got this, everything buttoned up as tight and everything. And you're like, but you still fine. And I just want to slowly, like, it's just so much more to unwrap. Spacey likes it. I just like the uniforms. They're so beautiful. Look at this. Oh, God. I can't even. I can't handle both of you. Commander, I have urgent news to report. What is it? Saito rushed over to Hijikata's side, whispering in his ear discreetly. I wonder what could have been bothering him. The fact that they're so close together is nice for me. Anyway, had something happened? Hijikata's expression gradually dropped as Saito continued his reporting into his ear. The enemy's already reached Kofu Castle. Are you absolutely certain? Nothing is for certain, but given their patterns of movement around the castle, I am quite sure. Send a message to the chief. We gotta make sure they don't see us coming. By the time the sun set, our convoy had finally reached its destination to the base of the mountain range surrounding Kofu Castle. It's freezing here. While the season may have been spring, the chilly winds tunneling through the mountain pass were far more wintry. I shivered violently as each hair on my arm shot up. Spacey, you okay? If you're cold, come warm up beside me. Oh, yeah, you warm me up. I'm fine. Looking at you has made me warm. It's just, will everything be okay? I heard that along the way, some of our men started to go missing from the formation. Yeah, from what I've been told, we got a little under half our guys left. Why? Do you think they got lost back in the forest or something? Harada laughed dryly. Man, you're adorable, you know that? It's just cute seeing how much faith you have in people. No one got lost back there. Huh? Then why? If I had to guess, they probably got scared off as soon as they heard Kofu Castle was taken by the Imperial Army and made a break for it. Oh no. Yeah, and these guys call themselves men. If you're scared to death, might as well have thrown away your sword and never enlisted. Harada muttered to himself in disbelief, but I was beginning to grow concerned. Would we stand anywhere near the same chances of victory with nearly half of the troops? Gather round, everyone! Start the meeting! Kondo had finally arrived to meet us at the front of the convoy, rallied all of the remaining forces. Harada, Nagakura, Saito, and Hijikata were all standing together, some of them with their arms crossed in frustration. Nagakura was the first to make his feelings known. Of course he was. Some of them with their arms crossed in frustration. I was like, Nagakura, come on. Time to retreat is now. They beat us there. We got no shot at taking that castle with how few troops we have. I'm with Shinpachi. Kondo, you're a shrewd leader. I'm sure you're aware, but laying siege to the castle is only possible if we vastly outnumber our opponents, both in number of soldiers and artillery. If we keep going, then we'll be marching all of our men to their deaths. There is truth in what they say. Kondo shut his eyes, taking all of the captain's opinions into consideration. He's like, but it's my castle, I want it. After reopening his eyes, he gazed at his men sternly. We'll continue to camp here. Scope all enemy activity. Retreat is not an option. What? The entire bill for this campaign is being footed by the Okami. Retreating would do irreparable damage to our name. We'd have no chance to save face. Save face? Are you kidding me? What's more important to you? The lives of your men or saving some goddamn face? You really think any of us will put a dent in that castle against the Imperial Army with how many soldiers we got out here? Shibachi, calm down. Nagakura was enraged with veins popping out of his forehead, and it took Harada to restrain him from charging towards Kondo. I'm gonna call in the reinforcements. You guys stay here and look after the men. They're running late, but there's another brigade scheduled to join our convoy here. As soon as the reinforcements show up, and it won't be too long before we can take the castle. So try and be patient for just a little bit longer. Hijikata, going out of his way to reassure Nagakura, left not much room to argue any further. Well, if what you're telling us is true, then I'll back down. Nagakura begrudgingly lowered his fist, taking in deep breaths to calm himself down. Alright then, gonna head back to Ito. Take care of the place while I'm gone, boys. Hijikata spun around, heading back up the mountain trail by himself. Later that evening, we set up our encampment along the mountain ridge, resting after an arduous day of traveling. The restless winds carried the chill from the snowy mountaintop to our camp, but perhaps out of nervous anticipation for the battle yet to come, the frigidness hadn't bothered me at all. Harada and Nagakura had experienced the devastating effects of war firsthand during the Battle of Toba Fushimi, but for me, it was the first time ever setting foot anywhere near an active battlefield. Who would have ever guessed that we'd find ourselves in this mess? Sorry for dragging you into this, Spacey. Please, pay me no mind. Forget about me. Are all of you going to be okay tomorrow? Harada's expression suddenly turned grim. Maybe I should have given more thought before asking him such a delicate question. Kondo wasn't there. He didn't see any of the shit we dealt with at Toba Fushimi. It wouldn't surprise me to hear his only knowledge about the Imperials comes from dossiers. I was right. This was the wrong question to ask. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have pressed the subject. Hey, nothing to apologize for. Since we're in this together, I promise to keep you safe. So whatever you do, try not to worry about anything too much. I'd be dead before I let myself get into a situation where I get my ass kicked again. I immediately understood that which Harada had been referencing. Towards the end of Toba Fushimi, Kazama and Shiranui challenged Harada to a duel, which led to Harada biting off far more than he was able to chew. So, what do you think you'd want to do once the war's over? Who, me? Yeah, you. There's no telling what tomorrow holds, so it's important to think about the future. If possible, I want to live a quiet life. I want a solitude. What about you? How should I respond? It's quite the fantasy. Well, for me, it's quite the fantasy. My dream is somewhat lofty. Oh, really? Do tell. And don't say something stupid like an extravagant kimono or marrying into the house of a lord or something along those lines. Well, actually, there isn't much in the way of money or material that I want out of life. All I'd ask for is a peaceful life. Even if it were minimal, that's all I would want. What? And that's all you want? You called it a fantasy. So I got the idea that you were pining after status or an enormous house. Huh? But does it not sound like a fantasy to you? Nah. Most women just want to be pampered. You buy them an expensive kimono, maybe a hairpin or two, and they're golden. Harada perked up as he spoke, seemingly coming across a realization in the process. Actually, now that I think about it, you haven't really had a typical life since coming to Kyoto, have you? You've been cooped up in the compounds, forced to wear men's clothing, and almost every other weekend you were nearly abducted by demons. Oh, well, it's just typical. Look, a typical Sunday is being kidnapped by demons. I wonder why Harada may have wanted to bring this up to me. Was it out of guilt? I shifted nervously, thinking about it. God damn, he's so touchy-feely, I love it. Suddenly I felt the soft caress of Harada's fingers underneath my chin, nudging me to point my eyes towards him. Huh? Harada. Boy, you and I get along pretty well together. It seems like we even share the same dream. If I were to make you my wife, then we'd be one step closer to making our dreams come true, huh? What? His blunt words made my heart swell, but I was unsure whether or not I could believe them. Was he being genuine? Or was this, again, some ploy to coax me into his charm? An attempt at small talk he knew would work. As I gazed into the amber pools swirling in his eyes, I struggled to think of an answer. Oh, look at this! Fucking kiss me again, goddammit! Please, don't tease me like that. I averted my gaze out of embarrassment, fidgeting anxiously in search of a way to avoid looking at him. The awful truth of the matter, however, was if he were being truthful, and it was exactly what I'd wanted to hear, how delighted would I be? Just then. But I'm not trying to tease you. Whatever the case, if we want to make our dreams happen, then we gotta be sure to survive, right? You and me both. Right. Marrying Harada, living the rest of our lives blissfully in the peace of each other's company. There is little else to compare in the realm of envisioning a more perfect life. In a way, it cleared my mind. Harada alone was enough to give me strength. It's like every other one takes fucking forever to finally realize that we're in love with them and they're in love with us, and Harada's like, look, we should get married. It's chapter 2! He's already kissed us. He's pretty much proposing. Like, this is great. Like, oh, thank God, because it's been 4 fucking years. We shouldn't take another whole year for you. I mean, it literally takes 5 years for these assholes to fucking confess, and it's taken Harada. He's only 4, so props to him for having stones. However, in spite of how easily I could have fallen into constantly thinking of this imagined future, if the demons were eventually to return in the interest of abducting me, Harada would be no match against them. To some extent, I was merely an obstacle, preventing him from realizing the life he had always wished for. Shut up and let yourself have some nice things. Spacey, you're why we can't have nice things. By the dawn of the next day, the Imperial army began to gradually march toward the direction of the Shinsengumi's distant campsite. And the captains, having been deferred responsibility in Hijikata's temporary absence, were tasked with leading the troops with their new objectives. Under the stress of limited time, the captains ordered the troops to hold the perimeter, letting the Imperial army make their advance. Their vantage point along the mountain ridge, they hoped, would be enough to deter the encroaching Imperial forces until Hijikata arrived with backup. Some of the newer, less experienced warriors were incapable of holding their lines, however, as the threat drew closer and closer to them. Halt! We're the Shinsengumi! Not one step closer! Without waiting for the order, one of the soldiers revealed the name of our camp, his finger shaking tentatively on the trigger of his rifle. His finger shaking tentatively on the trigger of his rifle. I can't read. Crack went the rifle. Damn it! This is why I hate having to scramble and deal with all these idiot recruits! Saito, cover me. Going in. Roger. At long last, the battle had begun. Thunderous cannon fire rumbled the earth beneath my feet. My ears rattled, blindsided by the chaos. Gah! Ah! The Imperials fired their rifles, gunfire bellowing frighteningly in the distance. Waves of soldiers dropped lifelessly to the ground as the bullets ripped through their flesh in succession. Harada watched helplessly from the back line. Those rifles they've got, those are the same as what the Satsuma Choshu had during the Battle of Tobu Fushimi. Those men know exactly what they're doing. Harada sprinted towards Kondo to warn him. Kondo, we gotta retreat. We can't compete with those guns. They'll tear us apart. What's that? Is this your first time on the battlefield, or are you just scared to fight? What? That's not it at all. Open your eyes. Our men are being gunned down in cold blood before they even set foot on that field. At this rate, there'll be no men to take with us back home. You call yourself a man? Samurai honor their name, not their lives. Not a chance are we going to turn our backs on the enemy. Oh, Kondo. I love you and all, but I really feel like you should go get shot again. This was Kondo's first time leading his troops into a large-scale, mobilized conflict. To Kondo, Harada's advice was thin-skinned. To Harada, Kondo's orders were a death wish. Yeah. All of you, follow me. Ready your swords, gentlemen. Today we take back what's ours. Kondo gave a rallying cry, charging with a group of young soldiers right at his back. Harada looked crushed, saying nothing else as he watched the group run frantically into the field. What happened immediately following their charge was exactly what Harada had predicted. Lunging forwards with their swords high in the air, our soldiers were massacred by a spray of bullets, piercing their fragile bodies. Calling this a battle was insulting. It was a one-sided bloodbath. Our collective resolve was crumbling as a pile of corpses grew taller and taller, the hot stench of blood thickening in the air. And they have furies. You satisfied? We're past the point of no return. The war isn't being fought with hope and goodwill. It's being fought with blood, steel, and gunpowder. Kondo bit into his lip anxiously. One by one, he watched his men fall to the ground, bullet holes strewn across their tattered bodies. Kondo stared towards the ground, pensively in regret. Everyone, fall back! We're retreating! Realizing he could no longer stand the humiliation of watching his men suffer, Kondo ordered the retreat. And of course, Captain of the 10th Division stuck cleaning up after everyone's mess in the rear. Well, you'll be all right, Harada. I get to safety with everyone else. I'll be fine. This isn't how I die. Harada winked, speaking to me with confidence, but how would he have any idea of knowing if he'd be okay? It was a spear against an army of riflemen, and he was supposed to give us time to escape. Just then... Oh, look. A ghost-like apparition materialized, hovering over a scattering of freshly killed soldiers. It was... Shiranui. We know. We can recognize his profile. I forget the voice I gave him. Still alive, I see, eh? How convenient to find you here waiting for me. Shiranui... I thought you were more intelligent than that. Surely if you actually cared about the Shinsengumi, then you would have left them ages ago. His lips curled into a malicious grin when... Harada jumped into the fray, thrusting his spear towards Shiranui with zeal. Whoa! Shiranui noticed him in time to avoid the strike. That's just going to break your wrist. Haven't you watched any of those movies that dispel... That's not how you hold a gun. Then he drew his pistol, pointing it towards Harada. What the hell, Harada? You got something to say to me? Yeah, plenty. If she didn't want to be with us anymore and leaves on her own accord, that's one thing. There's no good reason to hand her over to a bunch of lowlifes who've no idea on the proper way to treat a lady. Still running that big mouth of yours, huh? Have you already forgotten how quickly I dealt with you back at Toba Fushimi? Shiranui steadied his pistol hand, pointing the gun's barrel at Harada to get a good shot, but... Guess again! It's funny because Shiranui hasn't been in any of the other paths until now. Harada was quicker to react, and suddenly he closed the distance between himself and Shiranui, making it harder for Shiranui to fire his gun. Harada's pace was quicker than my eye could follow, and all I caught was the shine of his spear's tip as he jumped towards Shiranui. Spear was aimed for Shiranui's heart, but the demon's reflexes were too quick, shifting his weight easily to deflect the incoming polearm. Shiranui gnashed his teeth angrily, and then... The blast of his gunfire cracked in my ears, and I watched his gun tilt upward from recoil. A bullet whizzed by, narrowly missing Harada's face by grazing his cheek, leaving a bleeding line in its wake. Harada, however, showed no signs of faltering. Thrust after thrust, he poked Shiranui, giving him barely any chance to make a distance between them. And then... Harada swung the spear upwards from under Shiranui's hand, smacking the gun out of his reach. Your skills improved nicely since our last encounter. Have you had a change of heart? Yeah, feels like I'm finally starting to realize what I'm fighting for out here. Despite the fact that the two of them were exchanging attacks in a battle for their lives, they were both smiling, determined to keep the other engaged. Engaged. I was right. Another engaged as their duel increased in ferocity. Harada spread his feet, getting into stance with his spear to prepare one last lunge when... God damn it! What the hell's up with these guys? I heard Nagakura cry out in the distance. What's going on here? Stuck my sword right through him, but... They're absorbing my attacks as well. Not to mention, they're moving abnormally fast as if they're... You gotta be joking me! There's broad daylight out here! Will someone please explain to me just how the hell a Fury can fight under sunlight now? Furies? Our worst fears came to fruition as we gazed at the circle of languid-moving soldiers close in upon us. Closing in upon us? Squinting my eyes, I saw their red, pulsating eyes and their eerie tufts of white hair. Hi, Booger, what you doing? Normally, sunlight plagued the Furies with sluggish movement and an onset of debilitating fatigue. These Furies, however, moved freely under the sunlight, unaffected by such conditions. From each end of the mountain ridge, our men found themselves surrounded by the encircling Furies. Oh dear God. The Furies moved like unstrung marionettes, their languid arms viciously stabbing into the bodies of nearby corpses. Damn it! What the hell's going on here? Harada lifted his spear, poking quick jabs into the group of Furies, making their gradual advance. No matter how many times the end of Harada's spear was sunk into each Fury soldier's flesh, their powers of regeneration gave them the strength to push forward. Some would break off a small distance from the pack, kneeling upon the war-torn earth to drink the blood of the fresh corpses scattered beneath them. Watching the ravenous Furies rip flesh from bone with their sharp fangs repulsed me to my core. Spacey, hide behind the trees and shut your eyes. This isn't something for a lady's eyes. I ducked down and ran low to the ground, moving behind a tree out of view as Harada instructed. Thank God she wasn't like, but... Hey, Shiranui, the hell are you playing at? You summoned them, didn't you? I did not summon them. To my knowledge, there's only one individual who possesses an absolute control of their will. Enter father. There we go. I was startled by the rustle of a nearby bush, from out of which crept a small, familiar figure. Our eyes joined, and I cupped my hand over my mouth in shock. The figure was the last person I had hoped it to be, but in an act of cosmic fate, the person for whom I'd been searching most. He was... It's funny, they give us the outline, and we're like, we know who it is, but they draw it out, like, our eyes met. I didn't expect it to be him, but it was the last person. But I was, 20 minutes later, you're like, we know it's your father, come on. Like, father? Uttering his name aloud made my lips quiver. It has been quite some time, Spacey. A jovial smile was spread across his face, a sense of comfort that I had been deprived of for some time. But what was he doing here, of all places? Kodo, you old bastard! Have you finally lost your mind? Why the hell did you summon these creatures? These creatures? How impolite of you to insult them with your subjective epithets. These are my children, my beloved creations. Children? My research and expertise on the Furies knows no rival. It's my belief that the Furies are on the brink of surpassing both humans and demons in all facets. As you may be aware, the harsh rays of the sun have been the largest deterrent in maximizing their potential. That's true, vampires don't like sunlight. Are they sparkly now? I have poured days, weeks, and months into tireless research, searching a way to overcome this weakness. What do you think of my magnificent breakthrough? No longer are they burdened to live in fear of the sun. Soon, their species will overpower humans and demons alike in every conceivable physical attribute, whether under the moon or the sun. Father smiled as he boasted enthusiastically, his eyes gleaming with pride. Why'd you fool yourself with these delusions of grandeur? A fake is a fake is a fake. That's so not his voice. I don't know what happened. I thought you agreed to put an end to your experiments. If Kazama learns that you've not held up your end of the deal, he'll punish you with no remorse. Kazama, you say? Ah, I believe I recognize a demon with that name. What are you? Such a stubborn brute. He would crassly intrude my experiments with threats of violence. Fake or not, they are capable of more than you can imagine. Did you kill Kazama? Because, wow. Need more proof? Not even the infamous Shinsengumi stood any chance against my furies in Kyoto. The shogunate had unwittingly concocted the perfect recipe for their own undoing. Westerners be damned. These furies are the next evolution in demonkind. My heart swirled in my chest, like I had stumbled into a horrible nightmare. Although my eyes recognized my father, pontificating loudly in front of me, my heart had not. A rabid insanity burned in his eyes, and I witnessed firsthand what kind of morbid depravities his vile creations had been capable of. Spacey, go on ahead. I'll handle this situation. Harada insisted that I run back with the others, but this was my father. There must have been something I could do. No. But what? How could I help save Harada? You handle my father. I hoped that I could reason with him, but seeing his dull, vacant expression, I knew something sinister was lurking within him, and more likely than not, nothing I could have said would have any bearing on his actions. Harada, please, stop my father. It might come to me killing him, though. Are you prepared to accept that? Well, even though I braced for the possibility that it could happen, I couldn't bring myself to nod. I'll still love you. Harada, intuitive as ever, caught on to my trepidation. He's like, yeah, you trust me. I do trust you. Well, let's just make sure it doesn't come to that, shall we? I mean, I'd like to avoid having to kill your father, just as much as you don't want to see that happen. Now let us end this pathetic charade. Kill that demon and every one of those Shinsengumi soldiers. Feast, my furies. Feast on their blood. Well, now Shiranoi's on our side. Father stuck 2 fingers in his mouth and whistled, its howl echoing across the mountain pass. We're supposed to run. Why are we still here witnessing this? What the? Suddenly, the Fury's movements accelerated as if triggered by Father's high-pitched whistle. Watch yourself, Harada! That wasn't his voice, but whatever. Shiranui barked words of caution at Harada, but... One of the Furies had wide splotches of blood clotting into his uniform, no doubt from a wave of gunfire. He licked his lips eerily, his insatiable hunger abound. No, at this rate, they could seriously hurt Harada. I had to suspend disbelief to accept that the man in front of me was my father. No, I refused to believe it, no matter how much I tried. But all of this felt real. The sights, the stench, all of it. Even if I had desperately wished otherwise. The next evolution of demons? How delusional can you be? You're committing crimes against nature. You fail to realize that your abominable creations will cast ruin over this entire country. Shiranui, who only moments ago had engaged in fierce combat with Harada, turned to face Father. Hey, Harada, let's call it a truce for now. We have some fakes to deal with. No sooner than when the words left his mouth, Shiranui fired his pistol at the crowd of Furies, and my nose caught the smell of fresh gunpowder. To work as a team, I can't say no to that. Harada pointed his spear forward, readying himself. He slid his feet across the floor and jabbed his spear into the head of a Fury, bent feasting upon a corpse. Grrr! Harada cracked the rib of a nearby Fury, swinging the blunt end of his spear into its exposed abdomen. Gross. Oh, As quickly as it was knocked down, however, it rose back to its feet, laughing as it resumed its charge. Do you expect me to tremble at the woeful pairing of a human and a demon coming to challenge me? Father puffed his chest arrogantly as he watched Harada and Shiranui working to subdue his creations. As the air became thick with the blood of slain Furies, more emerged to feast on their allies' corpses. Damn it! This part's gonna go on long because I thought we were gonna run away and not have to witness this, but I watched Harada's spear crack the skull of a charging foe before turning to gaze at his surroundings. Despite their efforts, they were hopelessly outnumbered. Every injury they'd inflicted healed within seconds. Every broken bone, bloody gash, and dismembered limb regenerated before our eyes, and they would simply rise from the ground to resume their advance. Oh my god, are they like starfish? If you chop off their arm, they regenerate one, but does the arm regenerate a whole new body? Like, that's creepy. Obviously, that only happens if you cut down the center of a starfish, but... Sano, we gotta retreat. There's just too many of them. We can't get them all. Come here while there's still time. Otherwise, we'll tire ourselves too quickly. Nagakura and Saito tried to scream some sense into Harada, both of them dripping sweat and exhaustion. I know, but... Even Harada was beginning to show signs of his fatigue, his efforts starting to wane in each of his strikes. Harada! That sounded okay. Harada! That was better. I was like, Harada! I don't know why. I didn't take a breath before I did that. No matter where my eyes looked, however, there were no routes to escape through. We were surrounded. Dozens of red, bloodthirsty eyes stared back at us, blocking off the path through the mountain. Suddenly, Shiranui spoke out. Hey, Harada! Why don't I distract all the fakes for you? That way you can run for it. What do you say? But if you do that, you might... Ha! Don't let me in with you pathetic humans. There's no chance in hell I'd let any of these sick things touch a single hair on my pretty head. He's funny. Listen to me. In 10 seconds, you and the rest of your men will sprint the direction of that fury. That's the only corner where there aren't too many of them. Don't mess this up. Right, got it. Harada gulped, and he counted on the seconds under his breath. Oh, giving up so soon, have we? I was hoping you'd be interested in playing with me a little while longer. The crowd of Furies toyed with their swords loosely in their hands as they sauntered menacingly towards us. Just then, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! Shiranui roared at us, firing his gun wildly at the pack of surrounding Furies. Urgh! His bullet pierced through the forehead of the Fury at which he had been aiming, its body dropping to the floor with a dull thud. As the rest of the Furies took a second to react, Harada realized his opportunity and screamed out, "This way, Spacey!" I felt the tight squeeze of his arm around my body. We dashed together towards a group of stunned Furies. Sono, come on, hurry! Nagakura nodded in agreement, and all of us raced down the mountainous trail, sparing no second to turn and look back over our shoulders. Hey, Harada! I'm leaving the demon girl under your care. Women of her kind are a rarity. You'd better keep her safe. Conversation will be settled next time. Prepare yourself accordingly. Understood? Behind us echoed the distant sound of Shiranui's shouting, followed by the crack of his gun firing. I hurriedly threw one foot in front of the next, rushing as fast as we humanly could towards Ito. Aww. Alright, perfect time to end this. Alright, so I'm going to wrap this part up here. And I will see you guys next time. Oh, look, we're just starting chapter 3, so there you go. I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.